What's going on, guys? It is Ari, and we're gonna do I'm trying to make a video. Look at this guy. I'm trying to make a video. He doesn't care. Today, we are gonna do another little therapy update. Okay, so this week, you wanna come here? Here, come here. I've got a co-host today. I'm not good with cats, can you tell? I wanted to talk about therapy session 10 and sort of give like a recap, kind of like what I did last week. We are back with Coffee with Ari, by the way. Can you stop stabbing me? I'm so lost. We started with a recap of sort of like how I am feeling coming off of last week, when last week I was just like super down and just like not really feeling like myself. So I told her how I ended up feeling way better, and I think something that's changed this week is that I really just started to disconnect. So a lot of home life is super noisy and chaotic and just like really tense. And ever since I realized that I need to move out, and I've started to sort of accept that, I've really just accepted like what home represents, and I've started to disconnect from home, I guess, so to speak. And what my therapist told me is that like when we are able to disconnect, we end up like kind of stopping taking the bait, so to speak, like the things that trigger us or bother us. We just stop accepting them. We just stop accepting treatment or like things that aren't serving us. So that was fun. I also talked to her about how I feel like a lot of people just really do live noisy lives, right? Like we live tense lives between work and I don't know if you're older and you have kids and mortgage and just like normal life stress. And then people like to Netflix and just do a whole bunch of other stuff. People are constantly at this like slow burn, you know, like where you just don't shut off. There's always something that you can worry about and always something that you could be thinking about. And that's really not a way to live. And what I'm realizing since I've really just tried to bake more rest into my life. You okay? Where are you going? He wants to go back onto his couch. Okay. Bye! I tried. What I started to realize is that I'm more like, I want to sprint, like I want to go hard on certain goals and certain things that I do, or I really want to be resting and I really want to be like sort of living slowly. But my life has been at this like slow 40% burn where something is always on my mind. And even if I'm just doing something like, I don't know, like on Reddit, like scrolling Reddit or watching YouTube, I'm sort of like criticizing myself, like, well, why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And we need to break that pattern down. So we talked about that. And then we opened up the conversation about like how the apartment search is going. And I told her that I'm looking at two different types of places. One is more like suburb residential living where there's not a lot going on. And then the second is more like busy, there's a town, there's shops and like kind of lively life just going on around. And how I'm kind of afraid of living in a place that's busy because if I feel like I don't know that many people there and life is kind of noisy, you know, what's that going to feel like for me? And I might kind of be afraid of that. And she said that if busy is triggering for me, then it's good for us to figure out why that's exhausting me. And it's basically just another point for us to do more inner work. And we opened up this really cool conversation about symptoms, which I really like. You know, a symptom is a sign that there's something going on that needs to be addressed. But again, we live in a culture that focuses on numbing, right? Like you don't feel good, take Advil. You're down, take medication. You don't feel great, go get a bottle of wine and like unwind. But a symptom is a sign that you're not feeling good and that there's something going on. And it's not that you should numb things and just put them away in boxes. Like, you should really feel them and get to the root of what's troubling you. So, if I go live in a busier place and I don't love it, that's okay, because it's just another point where we can get more inner work done. If something is bothering you, then it's good to figure out how it's making you act and how it's making you react, and just sort of like getting to the bottom of things and being curious about yourself and who you are and why certain things bother you and why certain things make you uncomfortable. Like all of those points are places where you can just sit down and do the work and figure out really like who you are and why you are the way that you are, and just give yourself so much more control and autonomy in order to break things down and build a better life for yourself. Then we completely switch gears. And this is a good point for me to say that therapy is not like going to another doctor. Like, there's not this predetermined sterile set of questions and topics that they want to talk to you about to figure out how healthy you are. They're literally just having a conversation with you, like a candid, dynamic conversation about how you're doing and what you're thinking about. And they're just trained in mental health, and they're trained with a set of practices and an understanding of sort of like what's going on to help you break that down and to bring that third party perspective where they do have that experience and that exposure helping other people with the things that they're struggling with. It's basically just like having a good friendship with somebody who really understands what's going on and is also providing you really good advice. And the goal with therapy is not to re-traumatize you. It's not to bring out or talk about the bad things that have happened in life over and over again and make you sort of like feel them again and make you go through that difficult work. The goal is literally just like to work through it, and you work through it without being super invasive and being super negative and rehashing like a lot of that pain, which I think is really important and also a big misconception about therapy. I should probably make a misconception about therapy video. Maybe I'll do that one day. A therapist's goal is not to re-traumatize you, but to help you navigate your pain and to help you navigate and understand the things that have happened and help you find the power that's within you in order to help you heal from them and to help you grow from them and to help you sort of like understand the trauma's place in your life and the pain's place in your life. And the way that we ended our session this week was really powerful. And we started to talk about the past and the fact that things happen in our past, and everyone has bad things that happen to them. Everyone has bad experiences and circumstances and situations, but how do you use your pain? Like, I love that she asked me that question, like, how do we use our pain? Do you stay in your pain? Do you keep letting the same things happen to you over and over again? Do you let the same triggers bother you? Do you let the same habits and patterns, like entering bad relationships with bad people who you shouldn't be dating, do you let those things keep happening? Or do you take your pain and make sure that it doesn't repeat? Do you take that pain and make it valuable, make it meaningful, make it worthwhile for yourself? Do you learn from the things that you've experienced and the pain that you've been through in life? Because we all have pains. We all have things that hurt us. We all have things that bother us. But what do you do about it? And how do you make your pain valuable and meaningful? And how do you sit and separate yourself from it? And you don't want to sit in it. You don't want to let it define you. You don't want to let it continue to keep triggering you because it sucks. But you also can't just sit there and wallow. You can't just sit there and say, I experienced this and it was painful and it was tragic and that's why I am the way that I am and that's it. No, because the work doesn't stop there. It starts there. You got to keep it moving. You just got to accept that bad things happen and just break right through them and understand them and learn how to not let them control you and dictate who you are, because you're more than your pain. I promise that. Thank you for being here for another Coffee with Ari. I think that's it for me this week. Unfortunately, I won't have the sun like this next week, but that's okay. Yeah, I love you. Have an awesome week, and thank you for being here. I'll see you next week.